So far we've done functions, we've done linear functions, and now we're doing a very specific type of linear function called direct variation. So direct variation is a linear function such that the y-intercept is 0. So any one of these functions is direct variation. So the current price of gas is $3.20 per gallon. Let's examine the relationship between the gallons of gas you buy to fill your car up and the total amount of money you spend. So the independent variable is gas because the cost depends on the amount of gas that you buy. So this would be a discontinuous situation because you can have parts of a gallon. So you could make a table and figure out the number of gallons and the cost associated. So I'll just do a couple parts of this table. So this is 320, this is 640. So your function rule is going to be cost, or you could do C of G. I'll just actually do, oh no, I already have my table, I guess. My table already has G and F of G, so I'm going to make sure to use that. So it's F of G equals 320 a gallon. So if you graph this, it would start at 0 and go up 320 for every gallon of gas. So this is 320, this is 640. So if you bought 1 gallon, 2 gallons, it'd be like this. Now it's direct variation because it's starting at 0, 0, and it's a constant increase or decrease. So as the number of gallons increases by 1, what's happening to the overall price? Both in the table and your graph. So my graph, as I'm going up by 1 here, over 1 here, I'm going up 320. As I'm going up here, I'm going up 320. So I'm increasing $3.20 for each gallon. So this is a type of direct variation. So in direct variation, it takes on the equation y equals kx, where this k is your slope. It's also called the constant of variation, and the y-intercept is 0. So the characteristics are the y-intercept equals 0, and it's linear. Now the relationship between x and y is x, or k, is equal to, the slope is equal to y divided by x. So is each of the following direct variation? If so, find the constant of variation. So to write it in direct variation form, you want to make it look like this up here. You want to solve for y. So we're going to solve for y. So to solve for y, I'm going to get y, or I'm going to subtract 5x from each side. This cancels out, so I'm going to have 2y's equals negative 5x. So to get y by itself, I still need to divide both sides by 2. So this is going to be y equals negative 5/2 x. So is this direct variation? Is it y equals a number times x with no constant? So this is yes. The constant is negative 5/2. That's the number in front of x. That's your slope. So yes, this is direct variation, and your constant of variation, which is the k, which is your slope, which is your number in front of x, is negative 5/2. B. Solve for y, so I divide both sides by 7, and I get y equals 2/7 x. So is this direct variation? Yes, because you have y equals a number times x. What's the constant of variation? It's 2/7. K equals 2/7. Okay, letter C. I'm going to solve for y, so I'm going to subtract 4x from each side. Now these two are not like terms, so I can't do anything with that besides write it as 3y equals 8 minus 4x. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 3. So if you divide both sides by 3, you have to divide each term by 3 over here. So this is going to be y equals, make sure you divide 8 by 3. So it's going to be 8/3 minus, and don't forget to divide 4 by 3. So this is going to be 4/3 x. So is this direct variation? No. It's not, because you have this constant value. So no, it has a constant, or the y-intercept is not 0. Okay, so sometimes you can write an equation for direct variation just given a point. So if I'm going to use y equals kx is going to be what my final answer looks like. So remember that in direct variation, to get your k is equal to y divided by x. Now that comes from manipulating y equals kx. So if you solve for k, what you would do is divide both sides by x. So k would equal y over x. It's kind of like your the cost per gallon. So now to figure out what k is equal to y divided by x, so it's -3/4. So my equation is y equals -3/4 x. So letter B, I want to solve for k. So k is equal to -6 over -3, which is 2. So my equation is going to be y equals 2x. Next part. Oh, a shortcut is if y equals kx, then k is equal to y divided by x. So in a set, if it's a table, what you want to do is see if y divided by x is constant. Is 8 divided by 4 the same as 14 divided by 7, the same as 20 divided by 10? If all of those are the same, then it's direct variation. So in this case, yes, it's direct variation, and your k is 2. So your equation is going to be y equals 2x. Now check B. Is -2 divided by -3 the same thing as 2/3, the same thing as 6/9? So when you divide all of these, you get 2/3. So k is equal to 2/3. So your equation is going to be y equals 2/3 x. And then number 4 is 3/4. 3 divided by 4, the same thing as 4.5 divided by 5, the same thing as 13.5 divided by 11. No, it's not. I know that 13.5 divided by 11 cannot equal 3/4 because 13.5 is greater than 11 and 3 is not greater than 4. So this is no, it's not direct variation. We're going to look at a couple word problems right here. Your percent grade varies directly with the number of correct answers. So when you have a word problem, what you need to do is read where the equation says varies directly. So your percent grade varies directly with the number of correct answers. So I'm going to write an equation for that. So grade varies directly means equals K times the number of correct answers, A. So varies directly means you need to write an equal sign, then K, and then times, multiply it by the variable after that. So what would your percent grade be with 24 correct answers? So I need to figure out what K is first. So K is equal to G divided by A. So it's going to be G, your grade, divided by the correct answers. So if you got a grade of 80 and you have 20 correct answers, your K value is 4. So your equation is going to be G equals 4A. So the B part, this is my equation. I need to relate my grade and my answers A. I need to find K first. So steps where I need to figure out I needed to figure out the general equation, and that came with my first sentence. Then I substituted these values in to solve for K. I solved for K because I did 80 divided by 20. And then once I solved for K, I put it in my direct variation equation. What grade would your percent be with 24 correct answers? So you do G equals 4 times A is correct answer is 24. So that's 96%, or 96th grade. Okay, last one. The amount of interest earned in a savings account varies directly with the amount of money in the account. So I'm going to make an equation from this part. So the amount of interest, we'll let that be A, varies directly, so K, times the amount of money in your account, M. So that's my general equation. Then I'm going to use this second part to figure out what K is. You have $1,000 in your savings account and earn 50% interest, or $50 interest. So the amount of money that you have in your savings account is M, and you earn $50 in interest. So I can use this to solve for K. So K is equal to 5/100 or 0.05. So now I can write my equation. A equals 0.05 M. How much interest would you earn if you had $1,500 in your savings account? So I'm going to plug in 0.05 times 1,500. And get $75. So $75 is the amount of interest I would earn. So the 3 steps: write your general equation, then substitute it in to find K, write your equation with K in it, and then answer the question at the end.